So, hello travelers and welcome back to my channel. So, I took a little bit of a break for content creation after my last vacation. Been messing around doing a lot of different things, figuring out what I want to do gaming wise for the rest of the summer, and I got my summer due. So, now that Expedition 6 is over with, um, it's time to start considering what is going to happen in No Man's Sky 4.0. Arguably what will be the most significant update since Next or Visions. Probably Next because this one needs to be beefy. Um, as I've gone through playing the game, I'm currently in the process of exploring the Pirate Galaxy, Galaxy 257, um, for an entire playthrough concept. Um, and I've been looking at systems. I've been looking at things that have been introduced over the last 2 to 3 years. Redundancies, good things, bad things. I was one of the vocal opponents of the permadeath expedition. It's not a form of gameplay that I particularly enjoy very much. So let's get into this because I don't want to make this a 4 hour long video. So what are the key things that I think are going to arise in 4.0 for No Man's Sky? This is important because we now have a large swath of new players who are being exposed to things that have been updated in the game and things that have not been updated in the game. Traditional MMO players, traditional space game players who are used to certain things that may or may not exist in the game. So, the first and foremost one, because you are on planets all the time, because you are interacting and collecting pets, creature overhaul is going to be one of the most important things. We have had environment updates, we've had water updates, we have had building updates, we have had space updates. Creatures are the things that you are most regularly interacting with. You're visually looking at them, you're scanning them, you're harvesting them, you're taming them, you're raising them, you're hatching their eggs. We got the introduction of fur. Granted, totally cool. But we still have some of the most derpy creature designs existing in the game that still exist. I was jarringly exposed to a couple of creatures in the Pirate Galaxy that I have not seen since the launch of the game. They're still there in the generation pool. And while it's nice and while it's nostalgic, they're jarringly immersion breaking when you look around at an updated, visually appealing world and you get derpy creatures, cows with butterfly wings. It's whimsy, but it needs to be updated. And with that, I'd like to see a pool of some of the other creatures that we already have, particularly in procedural dungeons, introduced to the planets. I like those skittery, spitting little bug things in the world. Have them in caves. Introduce them into other things. So that's my first big hope for the game. So the second one, flyable and buildable frigates. I've been a huge fan of the frigate designs. The frigate designs are actually cooler than the freighters that we have. They're smaller. They're more manageable in terms of building a base on them if you wanted to, if we could. And we already have them procedurally traveling through atmosphere. Well, how about you give us the ability to fly them? Possibly as a multi-crew option. How great would it be if you could get a frigate, have a guild of players that play on them, have specialized stations for scanning, engine, life support, cargo, different things. It doesn't even have to be that in depth. It could just be us being able to fly them onto planets and use them as a hub, as a base for exploration. It would be great. Also, can we get them painted too? We can paint freighters. Can we please paint them? So now I'm going to go on a couple of other things. Quality of life. There's still some things that irk me about the game. A couple of them are important, some of them aren't. we've gotten some very cool quality of life upgrades, like the ability to install a room into your freighter to deploy exocraft on a planet anywhere. The launch recharger for your ship, excellent quality of life. The refiner in your backpack, excellent quality of life upgrade. So, how about we get system scanning directly from your freighter as an upgrade module that allows you to scan an entire solar system and get an idea of what type of planets are in the solar system. Just as the quality of life to give me better use of my time in game. While I love exploration, there are times where I am specifically hunting for a specific type of planet, be it for exploration purposes, game video filming purposes, base building purposes, pet hunting purposes. I am looking for a certain type of planet, having to go through 6 different planets, scanning them, exploring them could be very tedious at times, especially since it's something that's a core mechanic of the game. The other one is persistent companions. I'd like to be able to have my companions out at all times. In my base, or on my freighter, somewhere where they're visible, viewable, and interactable. If I'm going to be able to collect 6 of them, I should have them out in the world with me. This goes towards immersion with other players, being able to have player zoos, possibly being able to have them breed with creatures on planets. I don't know how well that would work. It requires a lot of work and coding. I mean, granted, this 4.0 has been gestating probably for a while we've gotten our more condensed drops of updates. This is going to be a big one, hopefully. So, who knows? Number 5, living freighters. You gave us the living ships. They're great. For some people, they don't like them. There's some of us that absolutely love them. I want a thematic freighter line for living ships. I want it to feel like a living freighter. I want it to gestate eggs for living ships. I want it to have unique interactions, a more organic feel to the interior. I want them to be cool and unique. Could just be a pool of 5 of them, but seed them throughout the galaxy as rare findables, or tie them to a mission that gets us them. There's many ways that they can do that. So now we get to number 6, and this is the one on my wish list every year, every damn update, every year for the last 6 years. Ship painting. This can be done in a myriad of ways. Now, I brought this up a number of times, and I sound like a broken record. There was a mod that allowed you to do client-side ship painting. It did not apply a permanent change to the ship and reverted when you sold the ship off. This is something that can be done in the game. Now, let's say hypothetically they don't want to give you that. They can still give us decaling. They can still give us themed paint hulls for the ships that can be tied into the loot system. That can be a unique loot chase. There are many ways this can be done, but I want the basic level painting. It does not have to enact a permanent change, and it reverts when you dismiss your ship. It's something that, for all of the things that have made me immerse in No Man's Sky, the one thing that keeps me from wholly being invested is making my ship my own. This needs to be in this update. 6 years in, there's no excuse for this anymore. I love Sean Moriarty and the development team. I love their passion for the procedural generation in the game. It's still going to be a meaningful part of the game, but for the love of God, I want my customization. So now we come down to number 7. We got an update to the building system. It's freaking awesome. However, through the course of many updates, the chase for blueprints, crafting items, and stuff has been greatly consolidated to the Nexus, leaving a lot of systems that were important to exploration in the game before to languish or become meaningless. So I want to take a significant amount of the buildables, decorations, and other things out of the Quicksilver shop, The ones that have been there for 4 years need to come out. They need to be dumped into the seeded loot pool for chests, for exploration, for the factories and communication stations. Give us a reason to go back into the world and find things. One of the worst things they did was take all of the factory blueprints that were in the factories that you had to do little mini puzzles to get to, and taking all of those recipes and sticking them on the Nexus. While it's a time-saving quality of life thing, it makes exploration a lot less meaningful. You don't find a lot of cool stuff in the game anymore because it's in one central location. I want to change that. I want to break the Quicksilver shop. I want to break the X Blueprint shop. Well, it's nice to have those vendors existing. Put them on planets. Put them on planets. Make me have to go and do exploration again. Mostly because it means I'll probably run into people more often. And not just have to go to the Nexus to find them. So, in tandem with this, now that we have a pirate faction, smugglers, I want more themed stuff for them. I want buildables. I want more outfits. I want rundown ships. I want pirate freighters. I want more. I want more. The immersion that I feel when I am in a pirate themed station is incomparable. It's great. It's atmospheric. I actually feel like I'm on the fringe of the galaxy, and these are the outlaws and the scum and the traitors. And I want more of that. I want to feel more immersed in that. I want the pirate faction fleshed out. I want us to be rogues. I want us to, I want that smuggler feel. A little bit of Star Wars. Nothing too hardcore. A little bit more. So then we get to space station control or buildable space stations. So it is obvious that at some point we're going to get some degree of control of space stations. Now, what I'd like to see, because space stations are persistent things, I don't think we're going to get the already built ones as controllable space stations. What I'd like to be able to do is take an override from the existing station core, take that to an abandoned space station, hack the core, and upgrade it myself as a guild hub or a player hub to enact system control for a star system. So you then get access to trading and science and upgrades, a whole different pool of things that you can do, and buildable modules for the stations. So crew quarters, lounges, medical bays. Give us the tools to make space stations even more interesting than they are, because just like freighters, space stations have not had much of a change in the existence of the game. They are cool, they serve an immersive purpose, but let's make them cooler. So, since I'm an ARC fan, one of the cool things that ARC 2 is going to be implementing is base blueprinting. Basically, you build a building that you like, you can blueprint it, you can drop that blueprint anywhere in the world, and just dump the resources into that blueprint to auto-build the base. I would love this option. It would create a microeconomy in the game. Make these tradable. Let us have player shops. So let's say somebody happens upon my player base, and it's a cool farm. And they can go to the vendor at my base, get that blueprint, take that blueprint anywhere they want, plop that blueprint down, and either by themselves or with a group of people, collect all the resources to build it. I would love that. That would, not only would that create a cool microeconomy between players, but it would also make player communities kind of cooler. Because let's say you have a group of people that like just being farmers. Well, I developed this type of farm. You developed that type of farm. Let's merge them together. Let's have them all in a community together. Let's say people do, large cities. Let's do it that way. Creating more communities in the game is always a cool idea. So, now we're on number 11. The ability to scrap freighters and frigates. We can do it with ships. It doesn't have to be highly lucrative, but instead of just being able to dismiss a frigate, I'd like to be able to scrap them. Granted, this may create an uneven incentive to scrap them for money and nanites and stuff, but that can all be balanced and worked out. I want the ability to scrap them. This can also be tied to maybe pirates and smuggling, where if we scrap them in space, strip them of their parts and leave them in space, so it doesn't give us everything, and people that are out there exploring can actually loot the rooms in the freighters that there's an idea behind it. I'm probably not formulating it correctly to you guys, but it's something that would be really damn awesome to do. So next we get something that's been in the game from what I recall from the beginning. If you hit a most wanted rating from the Sentinel Protection Force, you end up getting into a Sentinel freighter battle. It has no rewards, well, limited rewards. And while it's cool and it's a little harder, I'd love to see it made more meaningful. I want it to either require a group to complete, or I want it to be really hard. And as a reward, I want the player to be able to get the Sentinel patrol ship as a flyable ship. There are mods out there that can get you the ship. It is a cool ship model. It actually looks very similar to the ship model you had in the E3 presentation for No Man's Sky. I would love this to be a earnable, possible flyable ship. Make it rare, make it hard to get, but I want the chase for that ship. So, this is another quality of life one, and if they're going to continue to, especially with expeditions, make multiplayer a key component of the game, they need to fix the desync, and we need to get actual shared progression amongst a player group. One of the most frustrating things, especially if you want to do story progress with a group of people, is 9 times out of 10, the people playing with you will not earn that progress. It only goes to the person hosting the multiplayer session. I would like to see that change. It needs to change. Right now, multiplayer is not as fun as it could be, tied mostly to a lot of the desync that happens amongst players and the lack of progression. And sharing all the data from exploration. So if I log off, I should still be able to find a base that I built with a group of players, while not with that group of players. It needs to be fixed. It's something that's frustrating. It makes multiplayer not as fun as it could be and not as meaningful as it could be. So now we're on to 14. I'm a huge fan of the power system that they brought into the game. Not everybody loves it, but I think it's cool. It adds a interesting dimension to the game. So what I'd like to see is a couple more base powering options, most notably wind and hydro. And while we're at it, I would significantly like to see more thematic building. So I'd like to see a set of organic building parts tied to, we already got that organic hut in the Quicksilver shop. I'd like to see that fleshed out to an entire line of organic building parts. I want smuggler pirate themed parts. I want settlements to more reflect the planets that they're on. So if a settlement is on a desert planet, it should be more stone or concrete, not metal. Maybe basalt could be on the volcanic planets. I'd like to see a little more variety. Right now, settlements are very stagnant. Base building, while it's awesome, still needs more variety. And again, this can be tied to the loot system, it can be tied to the blueprint system, it can be tied to so many systems in the game as rewards, giving us more things to do, more things to earn. So, again, since we're 6 years in, and while space stations haven't changed, the actual line of freighters have not changed much either. And this is where I'd like to see some real change. I'd like to see a whole new line of freighters. And if we can't do a line of freighters, for anybody who's actually downloaded some of the freighter mods that are on the Nexus, on Nexus mods, you have your base. Your base is a component block with the 14 floors and the bridge and the landing bay. Everything around it is modular. So how about you give us access to those modules to create our own freighters? You don't have to make any new art. You can just give us access to that. Be it through a blueprinting system or us visiting a shipyard and upgrading for resources. It's one of the things, again, where the more I feel something is my own, the more invested in the game I am. The more I want to come back, the more I want to play. The more I want to show off my creations and my things to other people. And while we're on that, because you can do it in expeditions, can we please get multiple player freighters in a star system? Nothing is more frustrating than playing with people who have stuff stored on their freighters and they can't pull them out. So, that is my 15-point list. I'm sure I have others up in my head, but I don't want to bog this video down. I want your input in this. I know that as of right now, this update's already made, so our input is probably not going to go far, but I'm speculating. I want to hear what the community thinks. I want to know what new people who have just been recently introduced to the game, what you'd like to see. Because you're the people who've now paid to play the game. What would you like to see? Drop likes, comments, follow, subscribe. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to God my audio situation has been fixed. If not, scream at me and let me know.